Everybody, I'm back. And, while I was on break, I actually thought about, everything I'm sharing with you is really our natural, divine nature. It is the essence of who we are, but we have always looked outside of ourselves. In many ways, certainly it is miraculous, but it should become natural for us to really begin to tap into all of these different flows and rhythms spiritually and scientifically to really create the miraculous in our lives. I think God is saying to us, hey, I've given you the authority. There's a verse in the Bible that says the heavens belong to God, but the earth he's given to man. So here we go. I'm giving you another way that you can really begin creating miracles in your life. We're talking about living in that fifth dimension. And this way is where you have an understanding of the power of your emotions, the power of love, gratitude, bliss, peace, and joy. Because in that fifth dimension, that's all that exists. Remember, emotions are just energy in motions. So I want you to go online and I want you to get A Map of Consciousness by David R. Hawkins. And y'all know he was a genius. And it just shows the different vibrational emotions. Your emotions attract, your moods attract because it's energy in motion. And so when you are in that fifth dimension realm, when you are in bliss, gratitude, joy, happiness, and love, you are living in the higher vibrations. And when you live in those high vibrations, you create the miraculous. And as I look at this map of consciousness, which by the way is logarithmic, I'm not going to go into all of that. The high vibrations are enlightenment, peace, joy, love. So if you want to create the miraculous, let me give you some of the low. The low are shame, guilt, fear, apathy, despair, anger, etc. And so if you choose, and it's a choice, guys, that every day you're going to begin to live in, abide in the emotions of love, the emotions of gratitude. This is not woo-woo. We already know that if you would practice gratitude from your heart 3 times a day for 15 minutes, it increases your immune system. It builds up your immune system. Now, that's not woo-woo, that's scientific. If you're in a state of bliss, if you're in a state of peace and joy, living in those states or just bringing them into your lives on a daily basis intentionally will begin to create the miraculous. Um, I know of a certain situation. I had a client and she wasn't working, and I said, just begin to be grateful. Just begin to be happy. For what do you have? What are you going to do with the life you have left? And so every day she would walk around her house and be grateful from her heart. She would be happy and blissful. At least I can walk. At least my mortgage is paid. And she would choose to be in joy. And you know what happened? I'm going to say miraculously because she was in those high vibrations. So what's in those high vibrational frequencies? Unlimited possibilities, opportunities, downloads, mysteries. When you get in those high vibrations, you go beyond your imagination and you actually begin to tap into the mysteries. This woman received a major contract. This is all while she got laid off. because she intentionally began to draw it in. When you're living in a vibration of love and gratitude and joy, she began skipping outside and bliss. And it doesn't mean that you're in denial about the other stuff that's happening in your life, but you're not dwelling there. We know wherever you dwell within, wherever you live, you're going to bring to you. So if you were to choose every single day to bring these emotions, which is what energy in motion, we've heard Reverend Ike say when he was alive, it's your feelings that gets the manifestation. If you would choose 3 times a day, okay, I'm gonna spend 5 minutes being intensely grateful, blissful, peaceful, and joy. So do you have anything you can be blissful about? I can say I had a great cup of Starbucks coffee this morning. I can be blissful about my beautiful yard. You see what I'm saying? It's intentional. You are intentionally living in 5D, taking your mind off of 3D, which is the problems. Y'all know 3D is where the problems, your five senses are, etc. So that is another way. Can you see how God is giving us just opportunity after opportunity to really create and manifest miracles because it's who we are. It's our divine birthright. And I think the last one that I'm going to share is uh, the last one I'm going to share is just the power of positive expectations. And we know that when you expect for something to happen, there was a quote that says, expectation is the breeding ground for miracles. What does that mean? When you expect something good, when you have a confident expectation that something good is going to happen to you, you're planting the seed. You don't have to know how, you don't have to know when. You can just begin to expect. It can be as simple as goodness and mercy is going to come to me today. It can be any of that, but the power of positive expectations will begin to bring miracles in your life. Really, it's the power of faith. Because what you're doing is when you expect for something to happen, you're in a different vibration, you are more awakened. Now, if I place an order with Amazon, and online it'll say it will arrive at your house from 1 to 3 p.m. My house is on the corner, so every time I see an Amazon truck go by, he might be delivering to somebody else. But my expectation is so high. Oh, and especially something I really want. Oh, I can't wait to try on that dress I ordered. I'm excited. I'm looking for it. I'm preparing for it. I'm thinking about it in my imagination. Where am I going to wear that dress? What kind of shoes am I going to wear? Do you see how I've just engaged all of my imagination, all of my emotions in that whole power of positive expectation? And so what that does is it aligns you. Guys, we're just lining up to get these miracles. It puts you in a state. Now we know that we manifest in states of being. So if you're in the state of expectancy, looking out for, preparing for, I always say, whatever you believe you're going to manifest, begin to prepare for that. Florence Scovel Shinn said, dig your ditches so that God can fill them. If you feel like it's going to rain and you want to go and dig some ditches. She said, dig ditches so you'll have a place to receive them. I know some people who believe that they were married and they set an extra a dinner plate at the table. Why? Because the expectation of that, the hope for that, the excitement of that begins to stir something in your imagination. And just by continuously, and I'm going to say intentionally, having the power of positive expectation, you will begin to create miracles. So, guys, I've given you maybe seven or eight ways. We're not waiting on God. God is in us. And certainly there are situations where, you pray for healing and God will bring that. I'm not denying that, but I'm sharing with you everyday situations where you could get your mind off of TV. Kendrick Lamar said, turn the TV off, turn the TV off. Off of social media, just scrolling, and begin to practice and get in the flow of and the vibration of the miraculous. So I'm going to reiterate kind of what I said. One way is to meditate every day so that you can tap into that low level of the spiritual broadcasting station speaking to you. That's where you get your downloads. That's where you receive your $1 million ideas. In stillness, there's profit in stillness. Another way to create miracles is to choose to forgive. Now, you can hold on to that stuff if you want to, but it's keeping the miraculous from your life. You're going to let go and let God release folk, take back all of that energy that you're going to use to create your own life. So it's forgiveness. Another way I talked about was inspired action. The example that I gave was Dr. Karen. She was inspired to go online, to to join this group, to put her picture up. And that inspired action led to a miraculous marriage. So, what inspired action is God telling you to do? What one thing do you feel inspired to do that could really put you in just an unbelievable space and place? I talked about the language of the fifth dimension, which is your words and how your words are vibrational. They're unseen vibrations. And that when you are in that vibration, you're really calling things in with your words. And so we talked about that. These are all ways that you can begin to create miracles. I talked about the power of your emotions. I think that's one that sometimes we forget. And emotions is energy in motion. And when you choose to live in love, gratitude, bliss, joy, make sure you go online and get uh, uh, David R. Hawkins' map of consciousness. When you live in those high frequencies, those high vibrations, it really puts you into that fifth dimensional miraculous realm, that super conscious realm, that receiving realm. And as I said, it's not woo-woo. It's not woo-woo. It's scientific, it's spiritual, and it works. Did I leave one up? I might have. So guys, that's what we're going to do. We're going to tap into the miraculous. We're going to stop looking outside of us. Did I talk about the positive expectation? I don't know if I forgot to summarize that one. But yeah, I talked about the power of positive expectation. That expectation is a form of faith. We know faith is a force. We're not just talking about words, y'all. Faith is a force, it's a vibration, it's an energy that pulls stuff to you. So, what would happen in your life if you just chose to practice one of these, what would happen in your life if you chose to practice two of them? What would happen if you said, Constance, I'm going to really focus in on the power of my emotions? And one I forgot to mention was the power of being open to all of the invisible forces, angels, ancestors, just that spiritual help. You know, the Bible says that angels are here to aid heirs of salvation. So if you just chose three of these and begin to practice, live in these experiences, live in these vibrations, what miraculous things would happen? And I'm going to challenge you to not just be lackadaisical, but be bold and audacious. God wants us to be bold and audacious and fearless and think big and to go for it unapologetically. And that's what I'm asking you to do. This was so good, I'm going to listen to it myself. Well, guys, I want to remind you again to make sure you take advantage of my love relationship breakthrough. I'm going to help you, as I said earlier, really deal with your love blocks. Why do you keep choosing the same relationship? Your love forgiveness, your new love paradigm. How to position yourself for love. You're going to get my book free. As I said earlier, you're going to get my love affirmations. It comes with that package. But I want to do a discovery call. Well, Constance, why we got to do a discovery call? Because I only work with folk who are ready, who are willing to do the inner work, who are ready to, I'm going to change work to transformation. I've been telling my clients, we're not working, we're transforming. We are aligning. I like to coach people, or as I say, I'm going to walk you back home and remind you of who you are and what you can be, do, and have in life. That is my position. And so for some people, that may be for a year. Most of my clients have been with me for 5, 6, 7 years. And so interesting. But so if you're ready for love, if you're ready to really release and heal your love blocks and any other block that may be on the inside of you, just email me, Constance at fulfillingyourpurpose.com. And this has been so good. Thank all of you once again for being faithful listeners and followers with me over a decade, 17 years. I'm so appreciative and I'm so grateful for all of you. And as I say every single week, you are the creator. Somebody sent me online. They they just spoke back to me what I say at the end of every show, and it's simply you are the creator, producer, script writer, and editor of your own day, of your own week, and of your own life. God has given you that authority. Everybody, have a great week.